Eunice Mwende Mutiso. I'm 32 years old. I was first diagnosed with breast cancer when I was 23 years, and that was in 2016. So in our family, we don't have any history of any type of cancer. And I'm the youngest. So having a breast cancer diagnosis was really foreign, and we didn't quite understand what it entailed. So I had a mastectomy, which is removal of the whole breast, in the same year, 2016. Later on, I was put on medication, tamoxifen, a tablet a day for 5 years. But unfortunately, after 3 years, I got a recurrence in 2019. So at that time, the cancer had spread to my lymph nodes and one of my lungs. And now that was metastatic breast cancer, which I better know it as stage 4 breast cancer. And I was informed that it is incurable. So what we started doing with the doctors who are handling my case was more of managing it so that it doesn't spread faster. So I was on, I did chemotherapy and targeted therapy from 2019 to around 2021, 2022, and because of the financial burden, I had to stop the treatment. So from 2022 March, I had to stop active treatment, but I was doing annual, checkups, scans to just see how it was. And in 2023, around September, when I did a full body PET scan, I had a recurrence, a nodule recurrence. So while I was in the process of now resuming my treatment, I got pregnant. So I didn't resume treatment, and I opted to have the baby. So my baby is 10 weeks at the moment.
Oh, beautiful.
And I'm here to share my story. So that is basically my story.
And people will be curious, you're breastfeeding. I mean, what happens? Just paint a picture of what then after the baby. Under meds, you stop the meds, or what exactly?
Okay, I'll take you a little bit back because we are also looking at the heaviness of this disease. So when I was diagnosed in 2016 and I had a mastectomy, it was really challenging for me. Being a young woman and having one breast, I actually didn't want anybody to talk about it outside our family. I would get really cross when that happened. And I got into depression for quite a number of months, actually about a year and a half. And at that time, I didn't know the importance of seeking therapy because this was also not pointed out to me when I was being diagnosed. And I felt that, that is one of the things we need to really be keen on when we are being diagnosed. When patients are being diagnosed, it's important and it's key to have now, the therapy. And so I had depression, and then I came out of it and I looked at life a bit differently, and I learned how to, a different definition of beauty, not just the physical beauty. And so by the time I was being diagnosed in 2019, I had already come into terms, with the first diagnosis. But of course, no one can you can't be ready to be diagnosed with stage 4 this was a day before my 27th birthday, and my prognosis at that time was 1 year. So again, that was a big blow for me. I had just resumed university, and at that time I had to choose both diagnoses. Actually, I had to choose between school and seeking treatment. So again, I sought treatment, and I had to stop schooling, it was a bit of a tough decision because I've always wanted to pursue my degree in psychology and counseling. So that was a tough one for me, and I resumed therapy. I got into different support groups, and one of the support groups I joined is called Kilele Health Association. It's made up of cancer survivors and caregivers. So through this organization, looking at now survivorship, we were hiking together, coming together, and that is something which gave me hope in terms of seeing that there is life beyond a cancer diagnosis. So I have hiked with them. We've climbed Mount Kenya, we've climbed Mount Kilimanjaro with this prognosis, and this also shows you that again, life doesn't need to end after this. So when I now got this second diagnosis, the option of having a baby it was not in my reach anymore, because one of the things I was already advised even before starting treatment it was after starting treatment, after my second chemotherapy. That's when I realized I needed to actually ask about fertility and having children, because I didn't have any. And at that time, my oncologist, we had not discussed this, which I feel, again, it's a huge topic we need to discuss before starting treatment. So that's when I was told about, egg harvesting and seeking, just going to, check the cost of this. It was, again, beyond me. I could not even afford it. So I just continued with the treatment, knowing that the chances of me ever having a biological child were not there anymore. So having a baby is also a miracle for me, honestly. And and when I got now pregnant, as I mentioned, I was in the process of now resuming treatment. We had quite a tough conversation with my oncologist. I have to say I am blessed to have an oncologist who listens. And she told me of the pros and cons of being pregnant, the chances of the progression of this cancer if I decide to continue with having the keeping the pregnancy. She also mentioned told me how I would probably need to start chemotherapy while still pregnant after the first trimester. So these are some of the things I needed to consider when I was making this decision. And gladly and gratefully, I didn't have to do treatment while I was pregnant. But again, it's something which I need to go back and continue. So in terms of breastfeeding, I am breastfeeding, and I haven't resumed treatment yet, but I have to say I am really grateful that health-wise and physically I am doing well.
Congratulations for baby.
Thank
That's all I love when you go back
Thank
home. All right. You got a beautiful story, yeah?
Bila shaka, na ni vizuri tukuongere kwa sababu wewe umejitokeza ikiwa ni wakati ambapo tunazungumzia masuala haya. Hongera sana kwa kujitokeza na kuwapa wale wengine wako pale nje ule mwanga wa matumaini kwamba mambo haya yanawezekana na vile vile tunaweza pambana na kupigana na saratani.